Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tilted. Today, JC, Brandon, and I kick off Gearbox month. In order to get hyped for the new game coming out, we have a few. Today, the three of us are talking about one of the most ridiculous yet phenomenal games of the past decade. That's right, I'm talking about Borderlands. So reload those guns and stop at a med vendor as we catch a ride into the next episode of Tilted.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tilted, the exceptional podcast for the average gamer. I'm one of your hosts, JC, with the unusual suspects, Brandon and Chip. How you doing, fellas?
What's going on, my man?
Not much, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I do not have Chip. So today, fellas, we are heading into the Borderlands. Today we're talking about the sci-fi first-person shooter with RPG elements developed by Gearbox Software, originally released October 20, 2009 to Xbox 360, PS3, and PC. As is customary, here on Tilted. Chip, why don't you jump into the lore?
Lore! First of all, I want to put a disclaimer on this. There's a spoiler warning. I'm going to talk about what happens at the end. And also, I am not doing this lore justice. This world has all these crazy side stories and side missions, and they build on every single character. And every single character has their own backstory and where they came from. The lore in this game is phenomenal. But if I have to boil it down into my version of the lore, what it basically is there's an alien world called Pandora, and there's this legend of a vault, basically, that has untold riches in it. And people come from all over to try to find the keys to the vault and open it up, and they're called vault hunters because, creativity is, dead, apparently. And you play as one of the four characters, which we'll talk about later, but that's why this game was so great, because it had multiplayer, but it wasn't like Call of Duty, like a billion people playing. You can get with whoever in your match. It was you and three buddies. You played as one of the four characters, and it was basically find pieces to the key, open door. And you finally get to the vault, and you open it at the end, and it's like, wow, look at our untold riches. But then like a giant monster comes out, and that's what was in the vault the whole time, was this giant monster ready to kill everything. So then you beat that, and you're like, wow, now what? I guess we wait for the sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, find keys, open door. That's pretty much the lore.
Yeah, because if I'm remembering correctly, the vault actually is only open for a certain amount of time I forget what it is, but you can only get to it during this time for this very limited time. So you rush through the whole game to get there, and you're like, and then it opens. I remember playing, that's how I got into this game. A friend of the show, Josh, we went and found this game. We were looking for a co-op game. We went into GameStop and said, hey man, what do you guys got? And he said, this is it. You haven't played this? This is the one for you. And we got really excited, got really into it. We grinded that game for a week, just almost nonstop playing it. And then we got to the end, and it was just such a letdown. It just really was such a letdown.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it does definitely swerve you at the end, but I was 100% not upset with the ending because of how great the game itself is, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's just, it has this crazy cartoon comic book style art. It's just great. It's phenomenal.
I think that they did a really great job. What really got it for me was jumping into the characters. Was the character I picked the soldier Roland, and I got so invested in Roland. A friend of mine played Mordecai. But starting kind of at the top with Brick. Chip, you want to run us through the characters?
Yeah, so there's four characters, and they're all basically, they do something different, and they're all made to complement each other, like round out the team. So there's Brick, and Brick's this big, hulking, roided out guy, and he's the berserker. And I think in the original, before they remastered it and put it out, he, like, his specialty guns were shotguns and rocket launchers, because Brick tough, Brick blow things up. And his, like, every character has a not an ultimate ability, but like a special ability.
Yeah, their action skills.
Yeah, their action skills. And his was literally just called Berserker. And he would put away his gun, which, middle of combat, I'm going to put my gun away. And he just runs around with brass knuckles that are just strips of metal with screws on the end of them. It's the most ridiculous thing. And he'll put his gun away and just run around and just, like, punch things. And he just runs around and does this the whole time. And punches people into blood mist. Because he's Brick, he blows stuff up. He's great. He has some really solid voice lines.
His one-liners were absolutely
great, and he like screams everything because he's the berserker. And there's one DLC we'll get into for Borderlands 2, but basically in that one they play Dungeons. It's Dungeons and Dragons themed. So one of the characters is telling the story, and you play as the 4 characters, kind of going through. And at one point, you come across this like king or something, and in the DM and the character's like, "What do you guys do?" And Brick just goes, "I punch it." And they're like, "Brick, what?" He goes, "I punch it." And like that's your option. You have to walk up and just punch this thing. He's great. He's just kind of dumb, but really fun. He's phenomenal. Berserker punches things. It's great.
Yeah, I think wasn't Annie the DM in Borderlands 2?
There's no character named Annie.
I thought her name was Annie.
Tiny Tina, bro. It's
Tiny Tina. I'm thinking of League of Legends.
Not thinking League of Legends yet.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to jump into Lilith?
Lilith. So Lilith was the character I always played. Small caveat. I got this game. Did I use caveat right there?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
It's your show.
Make sure people know what I'm talking about. I got this game later than all of my friends who played it. And by the time I got it, they are playing Brick, Mordecai, and Roland. So they were like, "You're the chick," which I don't mind, but we basically ran me as a medic. Lilith's what's called a siren in the lore of the game. There's like only a handful of sirens that are ever born in the universe or some nonsense like that because aliens and sci-fi. And she controls elements. So her thing is like she uses pistols and like SMGs. And she runs around and she's real fast. And her ability power, I don't know, what'd you call them, JC?
Action skills.
Action skill. Her action skill is called phase walk. And basically like she blows up in this burst of energy and kind of disappears and she's invisible to everybody. But she can still run around and she runs around really fast. And then when she comes out of it, you press the button again, her time runs out. There's another big explosion of elemental damage, fire, ice, the whole 9 yards. I always use it as a panic button because you after a certain point you regain shields and health while you're in this invisibility mode. So basically it was like I'd be fighting. Oh my god, I have 4 health. Boop, I just disappeared. All my friends are like, where did our medic go? You can't just run away as the medic. And then I'm over in the corner like yeah. She's really funny. She's great. Lilith Siren. Red hair, like all these tattoos.
She was good stuff. Now, our friend Josh played Mordecai, the hunter. He was really good with snipers, and his action skill, Bloodwing, was, again, spoilers, was ridiculously broken. We would always, because the two of us were playing, we would always challenge each other to duels, and he would use Bloodwing and just decimate me. Yeah. Because he was just so overpowered. And later, again, spoilers in Borderlands 2 when Bloodwing.
No, not yet.
All right, but we'll save it for next episode.
But for those of you that don't know, Bloodwing is a bird. So this guy's a sniper. Brandon, you would have loved this guy. He's just he's called the rogue. He's real edgy. He sits in the background.
He's cool. I like he's
a sniper
guy.
And his reptilian falcon thingy, and just like boops people from long range. But as like JC said, his action skills, you just throw your bird at people. You just throw your bird at people, and he like scratches their eyes out.
It murders people. Like, you don't just kind of like throw. It stuns or it just, this thing decimates people.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Now,
and he's also an edgelord. Like,
yes, definitely. That should be in his character bio.
Yeah, edgelord. And then lastly, we have we used to call him El Generico, or Mr. Generic, because his name's Roland. He's a soldier, and just think of the most generic soldier traits. Like, he uses the assault rifle. His action point is he drops like turrets for more guns. That's pretty much it.
I loved it, dude. I loved it because it was a shield as well.
Yeah. Well, there was shield. There was different effects they could have.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we used to fight. There was one of the raid bosses in one of the DLCs was called like Kramara, and we had this whole setup where like I had my siren setup, so I was set up to medic, so I could like heal people faster, run around faster. Our sniper would just like sit in the corner and just like throw Bloodwing forever at his little minions. And the turrets, one of the things that turrets can do at a certain level is there's a big red ring around them. We used to call it the red ring of love because it would regenerate everybody's HP if you were sitting in it. So you would just drop the turrets, and they'd have really low cooldowns, and you would just all just stand there and pray that the health regen was fast enough to make it through this raid boss. Yeah, I mean, he was good. He's just one note, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm very, I'm rolling kind of voice, just very. I'm a soldier. Yeah, generic soldier, like
generic burly soldier number 3. Like you could have just pulled him out of any game, and it's like been like, you're rolling. I've been like, yeah, I'm rolling.
Yeah. Now, Brandon, do you want to tell us a couple fun facts?
So, Borderlands holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the most guns in a video game, which is 17,750,000, which is absolutely insane. I don't think I've ever played a game with that many options.
The whole point of the game, and the thing is, like, there's unique weapons that are named. Like, there's one called TK's Wave that's a shotgun that shoots shells in like a wave mode. It was trash. But it shoots shells in like a wave motion, and there's like specialty named guns, right? But the way the gun system works is there's like 5 different gun brands, like the companies that sell guns in the game, and they all have different, like it's randomly generated. The random ammo sizes, random like elemental damage, how many projectiles they shoot, like everything was just randomly generated, and they put a cap on it at 17 million. It was ridiculous. And this is also what, like 2009?
Yeah.
Like, oh, outdoing yourselves.
In one of the commercials, I think it was, I forget. I think it was shoot a billion guns. Like that was one of the things. It was like or have fun, go on an adventure with your friends. Was like slide 1, slide 2, shoot a billion guns, and you're like, this game's awesome. But a lot of them were just like absolute trash. You're in the middle of a fight and you run out of ammo and you're like, this'll work. What is this? Okay. And then that's what you're rolling with.
the names were phenomenal too. And I don't even think we put these in like the notes for the show, but there were certain guns, like the specialty name ones were pretty cool, but then they like really put good descriptors on some of the other guns. So like you're running around and you pick up a very common weapon, like a common pistol, and it'll be named like the unnecessarily bad pistol. It's like, oh, all right, I have this in my trash can shotgun. Like, like that's how they name things. It's great.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And what's our other fun fact there, Brand?
Apparently the I guess the theme song for the game, I'm not entirely sure, is "Ain't No Rest for the Wicked" by Cage the Elephant.
Yeah, if anybody can't tell, this was definitely this wasn't scripted. Brandon Lee's off the top of his head. He knows everything that he was gonna say. It's great.
Oh yeah.
But
actually, Brandon puts this all together for us, and Chip and I just had to show up, and he's like, "All right, guys, do."
Yeah, Cage the Elephant, great band. "Ain't No Rest for the Wicked" was like the theme song. And I remember seeing the trailer, and it's like Pandora's a desert world, and you see like this thing called the Skag walking along, and you hear if you ever heard the song, there's an opening riff. Like, well, no, the opening one's like wow, 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 and it's like walking. You're like, what? And then you hear it get closer, and then the animal gets hit by a car, and its blood spells out Borderlands, and then the opening riff to the song comes in the da-na-na-na-na. It's one of the best openings to a video game of all time.
And you're like, this is gonna be the game. I'm so there. Let's do that.
And it's so appropriate. Like, "Ain't No Rest for the Wicked," because the whole story and atmosphere is built on like just people doing whatever they want, and like psychopaths running around and murderers and thieves. It's a very lawless area. It's such a good theme song for it.
I love that song. Every time I hear that, I instinctually think of Borderlands. It was just, even when you start the game, you're like thrown right into it. You're like, this is awesome. So now we're going to jump over to the worst levels. Oh wait, there are no levels.
There are no levels. We're in crash mode.
No. So it's basically an open world with a guided story through various areas. The game is very guiding in the fact you can go do this, but you'll be level 9 and the boss or characters there are level 21 and just decimate you. There are some hard borders, but a lot of times they're like, sure, you want to go fight this mini boss? Go right ahead. And you get in there, you're like, oh my god. So one of you will die. With Josh and I, it happened. I would go in there. And of course, he's like, Ninja C, go ahead. You're the soldier. Go ahead. You go first. And so I get in there and we start jumping thing. And it will actually aggro the boss. And so I remember so the cage closes and Josh is on the outside of the of the fence, and so I'm just sprinting around and hopping, and I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna die! And he's like, dude, that sucks, man. That you look like you're in a bit of a pickle. But it was just so much fun. I love kind of open world. Just go get them. Good luck. Go have fun. And the characters you run into are absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, the one of the best parts of this entire game is just the rich amount of characters. Like even the unnamed like enemies you face, like the droves of minions and goons. Like there's psychos, there's midget psychos is like the actual name for them in the game. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like the actual name for them in the game is midget psychos. And there's all these people, and they have these crazy like things they yell at you. Like one of the like one of the psycho lines is like, "I need a new head for my meat bicycle," or like my merry-go-round or something like that. Because they're psychopaths, they just shout out random things. One of like the really rare lines is like, if you leave him alive long enough, he'll quote like 6 or 7 verses from the Bible, like just yelling nonsense at you. It's really really good, just writing all around. One of my favorite things about the enemies is as you progress in the game, they get harder. Obviously, right? Their level goes up. Well, they'll spawn certain enemies. So if you're fighting a bunch of psychos who are just like marauders, you'll look up and there'll be one bigger than the rest of them, and you're like, oh, okay, so they're putting in like more difficult enemies for me. JC, can you tell our audience what the name of those bigger enemies would be? Just carbon copies of a psycho but bigger. Remember what they're called?
They would just be the most ridiculous things you've ever seen. So it would be just like Chip, the demon slaying marauder, and you're just like, what in the world? Like just like the most hilarious names ever.
Oh, see, I wasn't even thinking about those ones. Like you have the
the badass,
you'd have the odd like named guy that would come out with like his random title, but then like everything would just be the harder enemies would just be a bigger copy of everybody else, that they would just be called like badass. So like there's a bunch of psychos over there, and the one comes out and he's like 3 feet taller, just badass psycho. It's like, oh, tell me how you really feel. and then at the end of the game, you start kind of like they have PlayStation Plus now or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can restart, and when you get to that point in your second playthrough, they're like total badass psychos. Come on, guys. Yeah, it's great. So we're gonna get into some characters, right, JC?
Yes.
All right. Shit. So
you got to just lead down this.
Okay. So for the record, I had this planned out. I'm going to send pictures of these people to Brandon, and I think that this is the first time he's ever seeing them. And it's like live, right? So he's going to be seeing these characters for the first time, like right now. It's going to be great. So the first we're going to talk about, if anybody has ever played the game, her name is Mad Moxie. Mad Moxie, she runs this thing called the Underdome in the first game. She's not super prevalent, but she is around, and she is just, I mean, hubba.
I love her.
She is like she's puts on this big sweet facade, and she's really nice, and she calls everybody sugar and blah blah, and then like there's some really dark quotes in there, and she's like, "I'll kill you if you don't do this for me." You're like, "Oh, all right, okay, I'll do it. Don't you worry." She has a bigger role in Borderlands 2, which we'll talk about tomorrow. Not tomorrow, sorry, next week. But yeah, she has all these crazy zany catch lines, and like everybody in the world of Pandora loves her and thinks she's this gorgeous bombshell. But she'll, just like everybody else, she'll slit your throat in a heartbeat to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
The next person, I think it's only right to go to her son. JC, what is his name? Scooter. And Scooter, what does he run? JC?
I don't remember the name of it.
I think it's like, what is it, like Pick Me Up or Uber? It's not Uber. Oh, that's right. It's Catch a Ride.
I love this guy. So again, a good friend of ours, Josh Holmes. He and I still call each day, like if we need a ride or something like that, and we'll get to it later when we get into Crazy Earl, and we actually recite a Crazy Earl and a Scooter line. So I'll give him a call, and he's like, "What you want?" And I'll tell him, "Dude, I'm trying to catch a ride." But I love this guy. that was the way that you could grab some of the vehicles in the game. They were just absolutely ridiculous. Turrets and all kinds of stuff, but this guy would just say the things that he would say are just absolutely ridiculous.
Get you one. Like, what are you talking about?
Go get you one. I love him.
There's one. I think it's in this game. What they do is they'll introduce a new character if they're important. What they'll do is they'll like throw like a still of them and like a little description. And I think in like the second one or the pre-sequel, it's like Scooter, and it's like loves cars, women, and cars, and then it's like in that order. Like, there's one point in the first game, I think it's the first game, where his mom is Mad Moxie, who's the person we just talked about. And he's like, "Don't you be looking at my mama. I'll kill you just like I did that other guy. I buried him in a shallow ditch, too." And you're like, all right, Scooter, because like you have to do all the fighting for him. And then you talk to Moxie later, and Moxie's like, just be careful of Scooter. That last guy's still in that shallow grave. He put him in for talking to me. It's like,
and you're like, oh.
Whoa! I can't do it justice. Like, please go out and just listen to voice lines. Like, even out of context, they're just absolutely phenomenal. My favorite character, bar none, is Scooter.
He's so much fun. Now, this guy again. If you're not getting the gist of the show or of this episode, this game is ridiculous.
Everyone's insane. That's
it's
just
it's. I mean, you look at the thumbnail if you're watching this on YouTube. To it on not Spotify yet, but soon iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. Go check it out. And these images are ridiculous. Next, we're going to talk about Dr. Zed. Chip, can you please go into a little detail about how you meet this guy?
Dr. Zed, do no harm. He's the doctor of the game, the good doctor. And his whole thing is he's the guy that gets you like shields and meds throughout the game. I want to point out that like everything that you buy in this game isn't from a store. There are just like vending machines randomly in the desert that sell like guns and ammo and shields and stuff, because why not? It's Borderlands. But his thing, he's introduced in a town called Firestone right in the beginning. He's actually the first quest you get is from him. And he's the doctor. He, like I said, he gives you your meds. But like his whole shtick is like he's really, really bad at his job. Like he's not a good doctor at all. So I think like one of the like the intro like sequence you see with him, like it's a little cutscene, is there's a guy on the table and he's like, "Don't worry, you'll be right as rain soon," or something like that. And then like he just takes an axe and just starts going to town on this guy's arm, even though the guy's perfectly fine. One of my favorite things with him is in one of the DLCs, it's like a zombie type DLC. I don't know if you ever played it, JC. It's like zombies, and there's a doctor. Someone's making people into these like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type monsters. Mm-hmm. But there's a doctor in this town called Jacobstown, and his name is Dr. Ned. And his title is Dr. Ned. And it's like definitely not Dr. Zed. But it's clearly just him. This game is ridiculous. This game is absolutely bonkers. Here's Dr. Zed for you, Brandon. I want to see your reaction on this one. Yeah, he just carves people up. He gives you shields and stuff. And that's pretty much it. He's just there to give you meds.
I don't remember if it's Borderlands 1 or 2, but you go and I think it is 2, but this relates to how ridiculous this guy is. He's on a table and you walk in, and the guy's like, just give him Dr. said, just give him a nice little cut. And so you've got to use your melee attack. And you kill this guy. You just like you would in the middle of a fight. Think Halo, where you just slam your elbow in their face. And you just murder this guy, and he just goes, good enough. And you're like, what? You know exactly what I'm talking about, Chip. Again, please just Google some of these characters, and you'll see how ridiculous this game is. Such a good time. Going on to the next one. Marcus, Chip. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Marcus is this Russian mafia-esque dude who, just like Zed, just like sells you. Like he's not the med vendor, but he sells you guns. Basically, what it is. He's the gun guy. And
I love Marcus.
he's not as prevalent in the first game. I think you meet him once or twice. but he's just kind of, he's a thick accent, and he gives you all these guns and ammo, and there's no refunds. That's the one thing, there's no refunds. And he actually also he was married to, or like dated Moxie at one point, you find out in the lore of the game. He's not too crazy and kooky in this game, but I wanted to introduce him in this episode because when you get to the later games, he has some solid voice lines in there. Phenomenal.
And I think what they did with the guys that come back in the pre-sequel, whatever you want to call it, they just take these base characters they introduced, which are not sane or normal by any stretch, and they just take craze, and they're just like, how ridiculous can we make this guy or girl? And it's just like, wow.
So the next one I want to talk about, I'm going to skip one on the notes, JC, so don't get mad at me. There's a guy named Crazy Earl in this land of Pandora, and he owns a junkyard in the first one. And like in the second one, he ends up being like your black market dealer and stuff like that. But you never see his body, only his face, like only like this much of him for those of you watching on video. And he has this big fortified door to his house, and he'll slide open this big thing and just go, "What you want?" And then just like stare blankly at you.
Again, that's why
it's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
I could literally call Josh right now. What you want? He will respond with, "This game is that good." Just like you're sitting there and you're like, "What did I just reference? Like, did I see that correctly?" And he just stands there as you're like going through the shop, and you're just like, "Okay, all right."
All right.
I love this game.
Yeah, it's great. So before we get to the final NPC that we're going to talk about this character, all of the games, because he is the most iconic Borderlands character. I do want a quick talk on one of the bosses. It's actually the first boss in the game, in my opinion, the most memorable. His name's Nine Toes.
What else?
Hold on, we'll get there. And Nine Toes is this marauder, and he knows he has either the part to the catch ride that you need to open up, or he has like part of the vault key. I really forget what it is, to be honest. But he had 10 toes, but he has a special gun that he uses that has a blade on the end for melee, and he dropped it and cut off one of his toes. Okay, stupid lore, whatever. But his freeze frame. Are you getting a picture of it, JC? His freeze frame when he introduces 9 toes, and it's freeze frames, and it says in parentheses like also has 3 balls. Like, why is that necessary to tell us? Why? Why do you need to tell us that? And he has a sign over his midsection that says "safety first." It's the most ridiculous game in the world. Oh my god, it's so funny. I hate this game so much.
Here I thought we were going to be putting together a serious game.
The subtle jokes in this, that's the best part of this whole game, is just the subtle jokes they throw in there. And it's like, some of it's like toilet humor, but it's so well done that it's just, it's very, very, not tasteful, but it's very well done. Like they slide them in very infrequently, but also just like at really, really, really funny times. That's one of the bosses. One of the many bosses that's just really fun.
They're all hilarious.
Yeah, and then finally, CL4PTP, also known as Claptrap. The little yellow expletive, the little yellow robot that runs around, is the most annoying character in a video game series ever. The most annoying character, but he is absolutely hilarious. The funniest, also the funniest character, most annoying and the funniest character ever. He serves as you. I don't want to say your guide, but he's more or less like your guide in the first game. He becomes kind of important in the second game, and you actually can play as him in the third game. But he just runs around and says the most stupid, nonsensical stuff. And we've quoted some pretty stupid and nonsensical things in this game. Wouldn't you agree, Brandon? Just hearing these out of context, stupid and nonsensical. But like, the only description I can have for this is like, imagine you're 16 years old and you're going out with your friends, and your mom makes your 9-year-old brother tag along. Claptrap's your 9-year-old brother. Like he'll run up and be like, "Did you know that this road goes to the Walmart?" It's like, "Thank you, Claptrap. I appreciate that. I 100% appreciate you telling me that, Claptrap. You are wonderful." But real quick, just to this day, his also role is to open doors for you. To this day, when I unlock something and open the door, I respond with "and open," because that's how he just like says it when he opens doors. And there's one sequence where he says, he's like, "and open," and like the door malfunctions. He's like, "Hold on, gotta try that one again," and he just like goes back to it. It's great. The best character, most annoying, but one of just the best character ever. It's great. JC does not share my opinion.
Yeah, I struggle with Claptrap. Again, I suck at video games. Not that one of his voice lines is, "Did you find the vault yet?" And I'm just like, "No, Claptrap, I didn't. But thank you." And it just, for some reason, would just shoot me right off the edge, and I'm just like, man, I hate this. I understand why he was there, and he's in a very iconic role, but for me, was not particularly enjoyable to have there. But I understood he did exactly what he was supposed to do, and they put a lot of effort into making him absolutely memorable.
Yeah, his whole point was to try to guide you, but also troll the absolute living crap out of you as you played the game, which was phenomenal. Yeah, those are like the most memorable characters in my opinion. If you have another character that you love from the game, let us know. You know, if are we on YouTube yet, JC?
Yes, we've done it. Yes,
if we're on YouTube, comment. I don't know how really iTunes or anything works, but find a way to comment. Yeah, communicate, comment, let us know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, if you have any other characters that you love, let us know, and maybe we'll talk about it more in the next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this one, we've got rating compared to other Borderlands games. Brandon, I'm gonna say that you think this is the best Borderlands game that you have heard. Right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. For me, this was my first love. I found Borderlands, and it just if 4 characters. I mean, later you get into a lot of characters you can play and things like that. But this was just such a simple, ridiculous game. Like, it's such a couple guys hanging out, guys, girls, just people that enjoy having fun with stuff. And you just play this game, and you're like, what am I playing? But it's just so much fun, and it's over the top ridiculous, and I just love it. But yeah, for me, it's gonna be my top.
I think it's the second best. I played excuse me. I played Borderlands 2 the most with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said earlier, I was late to the game getting Borderlands 1, so my friend already like level 80 or whatever the level cap was at that point. And so when I was playing with them, what they basically had me do was buy the game to help them do raid bosses. So I didn't really like listen to the story and pay attention. They were just like, I would join one of their games, so the enemies were like level 80 already, and I was level 1, and they would kill one enemy, and I'd gain 15 levels. Like they would just power level me so they could help with the raid boss. It's a phenomenal game, great storyline and jokes and characters. It's great, but I think it's the second best one. That's just me.
I did the same thing with Josh. He went to a aeronautical science university, so he had a much better day. I went to a university and studied marketing, so my day was a lot. So I would finish class much earlier than he would when we were able to play with each other. And on many occasions, he would come back. We would leave the game at level 14. He would come back next day level 14, and I'd be level 22. And he's like, JC, come on, man. And so it's just one of those things where like you can go play by yourself, so it still has a lot of playability like that. But the way to do it is definitely with your friends, preferably not power leveling, so you're experiencing different things as you go. Yeah, I think that's all we got for you guys today. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show, and until next time, remember, take a deep breath, get your emotions under control, or you might just get tilted.